Hello, everyone. Welcome to week number 4. This week, we actually got 2 parts for the lecture. The first part, we're going to finish the topics for selection, especially there's a very important topic called short circuit evaluation. I explained that in thorough detail, so hopefully you can really follow the lecture. Otherwise, you can ask me in the Q&A. And then we move on to the loops lecture. But this week, considering the time, I really try to control as much as possible. So we cannot really cover too many topics for the loops, but we will definitely start talking about especially arrays from week number 5. So that in the reading week, you can actually try to explore further about the array. But for this week, we still cover just the basic for the loops. But, one step at a time, as usual. We don't want to go too rush. That's not very good for your learning. All right, so as usual, I'm going to remind you that we do have the weekly 2-hour lecture and also weekly 2-hour tutorial videos. So I try to make the time limits plus minus about 15 minutes. Sometimes I might go a little bit further, but I'll try to see maybe later, closer to the end of the semester, I might be able to reduce the length, maybe for about 10 or 15 minutes for the final few weeks. I'll try. Otherwise, just bear with me about the contents over here. Okay, but the bottom line, I wouldn't compromise the clarity, for my lecture. That's the bottom line. All right. Anyway, let's talk about week number 4 very quickly. Okay. This week, as I said, we're going to talk about final few topics about selection. So you can see the first 3 videos are about the final topics for selection. Okay, and then also lecture number 3. So it will be the starting topics for loops. However, I can assume in the lecture over there that you already completed the weekly Java tutorial for week number 4. So that one was released already from last Friday. So hopefully you can complete the tutorial series where I did some detailed tracing for the for loops and also while loop. That will definitely help the lecture over here. I also emphasized that in the lecture video. Okay, so make sure you finish the tutorial first as soon as possible, and then you can start with the lecture. All right. And then, as usual, I got my iPad notes with the annotations. You might find it useful for your study. And then for this week, for the weekly Java tutorials, we got Part A to Part E. Okay, I didn't show too much about debugger this week, but I'll try to maybe incorporate some debugger show, maybe starting maybe next week when I get to the array stuff. But you should really don't wait for me. You shouldn't stop yourself from trying to really debug and try to execute your loop. Maybe one line at a time, step over, step into, step out, practice all these as you go, right? You don't have to wait for me, okay? All right, for the lecture notes, we got lecture 2, and also we got lecture 3. And notice that we only go until slide 21 for lecture 3. But for lecture 2, we finish everything. So you may just want to go over the whole slides just to make sure you really study the whole topic thoroughly. They will be covered in your written test that's coming. I will speak about it briefly. All right, post your questions on the Google Doc as usual. And then for the example code, I posted both for week number 2, the lecture number 2 and lecture number 3. So I got some examples there. But you should always try to do your own examples or try to extend whatever example I gave to you. That's really highly recommended. You want to play with the beyond what's really given to you. All right, and then for those of you who may want to do some extra practice, I suggested video 20 to video 33 for the Winter 19 tutorial series. And notice that, don't get me wrong, you're not expected to really watch all the 13 videos if you want, in a week. That's too much. Maybe try to plan your time in the coming 3 weeks. We still got week number 4, week number 5, and also the reading week. So you got 3 weeks to really plan the watching for these videos. I think you can really get quite a bit of extra examples study. But it's up to you. That's why I say it's optional. Completely up to you. It's your call. All right, let me speak about the learning objectives for this week as usual. And lecture slide, you should really know that slide very well. All the study materials have been made available over there. Okay. All right, let's speak about learning objectives very quickly. So this week, for the final bits for the selection, I spoke about how you can sort branching condition. Especially we talk about what does it really mean for a branching condition to be general and what does it really mean for branching condition to be specific. That's something I will speak about both intuitively and also visually. That's what I speak about in the lecture. And very important topic is called short circuit evaluation is a very important concept over here, and it does exist in many programming languages. For example, C#, or all the C family language. I doubt maybe in Python or other languages, whichever language which supports conjunction and disjunction, I think they support short circuit evaluation as well. So it's a very practical topic for you. All right. Hey, and then we speak about some common errors and also pitfalls about if statement to conclude the lecture. And then when we move on to this week for the loops lecture, let's see what we got over there. So we got syntax, semantics, and tracing. So you can think about it's really important. You should really study these together with the weekly Java tutorial video. So you think about, I kind of assume you actually study part A to part E first. Otherwise, there will be some missing basic details when you study these in the lecture. So finish the tutorial first and then the lecture. All right. And then we'll speak about compound loops. Basically, in the loops, you got the various assignment statements. And also, later on, not for this week, but later on we'll see next to loop. But for this week, just inside the loop, we got various assignment statements. And I give you actually 3 or 4 examples for you to explore. All right. All right, what about the milestone for the coming week? You want to get ready for your programming test number 1. That's definitely coming on the coming Wednesday and Thursday. And also for your written test number 1, let me just give you a little bit of heads up. Okay, I'm going to give you a guidance about how what the coverage is. Also give you some study tips. Written test number 1 is going to be on week number 5. Right, you can look at your semester calendar. Right, so that one's going to cover everything until and including week number 4, including this week's lecture. So if I were you, I would try to catch up with the speed. I don't want to really rush studying all the lecture and tutorial videos in the last moment. That's not very beneficial for your learning. All right, I cannot emphasize this enough. All right, and then you want to get ready for lab number 4. According to your calendar, it's also going to be released very soon. And you want to complete your lab number 3, which was released last Friday. And don't forget, for lab number 3, you cannot use arrays, you cannot use any library classes, you cannot use any library methods. All right, that's already specified in your lab 3 instructions. All right, and then also you got your weekly Java tutorial videos. All right, which was released already. And then you want to complete the lecture series for week number 4, which I'm releasing now. And then for the extra practice I just mentioned, you can try to plan that for the coming 3 weeks. Maybe watch maybe one or half a video per day to get the extra experience if you wish. All right. So that's about what's going to happen this week. You can see every week we do a very regular pattern, hopefully steady pace for you. But you don't really want to procrastinate, because if you procrastinate on watching the videos for tutorial and also for the lecture, if you procrastinate for 1 week, you got 4 hours on your to-do list. I don't think that's really healthy for you. All right. Again, it's an online course. You really want to push yourself. I can only occasionally send some announcement, maybe to really give you some friendly reminder. That's the best I can do. If you really got trouble keeping up with the schedule, any learning difficulty, I think please speak to me as early as possible. Otherwise, it cannot be very helpful when you speak to me when it's too late. All right. Anyway, that's about what I want to say to introduce you to week number 4. Off you go, and as usual, do your work. And if you got any trouble, speak to me. All right? Happy studying. Take care.